Begin transmission.
This program is intended for mature audiences. Parental discretion is advised.
Hey, how's it going, everybody? Good to see y'all in the chat. Let's see who all's here. Go over to the comment section here. Grindhead Jim's in the house. Yes, it is still Sunday, Grindhead. Yeah, we had a long night. Oh, Mike's hot. Okay, y'all. Give me a 5x5 there, Grindhead, if I'm sounding good and everything's going all right. Looks like Largo just hit the chat, so I'm going to bring him in as well. Hey, Largo, you doing all right, man?
Well, I'm getting there. Had a long night, but trying to get my mojo rising. How you doing?
Oh, I'm here. I'm here. It's been a long night. You got to admit, last night actually went along a little longer than I wanted it to, but it was fun, and it actually ended up being more like I wanted it to be.
I think it worked well.
Ian Sweeney's here. Hey, Ian, good to see you. And the Ticket's here. Ticket, I sent you a Facebook message earlier. It looks like you may have answered me. Not sure. Don't see an answer. Okay. Yeah, Ticket, I sent you a Facebook message with the StreamYard link if you want to hop on. I mean, I'm no pressure though. I know you haven't got your studio set up, but you can use the phone as well. But looks like I got 6 in the house. I know Ian Sweeney's here and Grindhead Jim in the Ticket. I don't know who else is lurking out there, but if you are lurking, just send a message in the chat and we'll be happy to shout you out.
You bet.
Yeah, hadn't seen it yet. Well, Ticket's got his Facebook on a separate machine than what he's using. Won't be popping on today, but someday, says the Ticket. Okay, all right, that's cool, man. But I just wanted to let you know I do know how to get in touch with you if necessary through the Facebook Messenger there, and I want to say thank you to Grindhead Jim for helping me out earlier tonight. This morning rather, get some issues straightened out with OBS so that. Hopefully I'm looking and sounding okay, and I can bring the toy cam on whenever I want to. Gojatron just hopped in. Hey, Gojatron, good to see you there, man. And of course, our friend and head wrench Bjorn Jorgensen's in. Bjorn, if you have to leave, it's no worries, man. I saw your message earlier, and also shambolics to you too as well. All right, so. What do I want to talk about today? I kind of want to talk about what we think and what we might speculate on what the future of this line may be. But before I do that, I want to make some special shout outs to some people who have really stepped up to the plate, and that's my Patreons: Grindhead Jim Pope, Will McLaughlin, you, Jim Largo, our very own Rolo at Mattress Maniac Mexico, and of course Bjorn Jorgensen himself, who's here with us today. Thank you so very much to my Patreons. You guys are the ones who keep the lights on over here.
Well, it's a privilege.
It's more than a privilege. It's an outpouring of the heart and a gift, and it's very, very much appreciated.
Well,
and
we appreciate what you do, Bill.
Yeah, thank you. Christmas is rolling on us like a freight train, man. And I feel like that I'm tied to the railroad tracks by a mustachioed villain who's giggling in the background. It's coming fast. I hope everybody has had a chance to at least get a little bit of Christmas shopping in. Bjorn tells us that's 21 days away, so
Wow.
it's coming, and it'll be here before we know it. I've told everybody that don't expect a whole lot out of me. I'm going to do my best to try to keep the schedule, but there may be some days when I don't hit one of these live streams on my normal schedule, or I do something different. Here's
sure.
the man right here. Anthony Joneser just hopped in the room.
Hey,
what's going
Joneser
on there? O2 Joneser, good to see you, my friend.
What's up, fellas?
We doing pretty good.
Good to see you.
I'm excited for the topic.
Good.
Yeah, and I mainly wanted to get a Motu fan such as yourself on the show with me to discuss that because we've seen a lot of things here coming up, that may be added to the line, and some things that we know are going to be added to the line. We just don't know exactly when. And I had a little bit of speculation about it myself, and I recently, and I won't. There's a teaser for this, but I won't just come right out and say it. I went over to the old evil auction site that we so love to hate, have a hate relationship with, and I made a purchase. It's not here yet. I'm hoping to get it before Christmas, but that's something I hope shows up as well, and we'll talk about that here as we go. But I recently, I understand that you were able to go over to the Mattel Creation site and pick up the latest offering over there, Joneser. Tell us a little bit about your experience on that.
Well, okay, I heard horror stories with Mattel Creations from a lot of people, so I just stayed away from it in the beginning. So I missed out on all the first things they did, as far as I think they did a He-Man Skeletor 2-pack, or they did the Horde pack, the Mysteries of Grayskull, mini comic Triclops. Didn't even try for any of that. And they finally had something that I really wanted, and that was that Masterverse 40th anniversary 2-pack with He-Man and Skeletor. So I'm like, all right, I'm going to shoot for this, and I'm not going to have high hopes, because I've heard everybody say, the thing kicked me out, and then it was sold out in 2 minutes, and I didn't get one, and boo-hoo. And then I had to pay triple the price on eBay to even touch one from there. That's pretty much everybody's experience, I think, in the community. Mm-hmm. So I try it. I've made an account. I got some tips from a guy in a collector's group who said he's never missed one. It's never happened. Every time they went live, he's got it. So I followed his step-by-step instructions, which I don't know if I want to reveal them, to be honest with you. Is that greedy, or should I just throw it out there?
That's on you, man. That is on you.
Keep it under your hat.
But anyway, I followed what he told me to follow, and I've never missed since of any one I've tried, but I've only tried like 2 or 3 times. I was quick to pass on a lot of this stuff. You know what? I'm not going to be a greedy person. We're going to just out there right here, Bill's channel exclusive. This is the hot tip of how to beat it, the guy said, and it's worked for me every time. Now it'll probably work for nobody. But anyway, we're going to try it. What you do is you have to create, I think you got to do it anyway, but you create your account with Mattel Creations beforehand. You log on early, so you're signed in, so they don't have to sign you in as you're checking out when that critical minutes count. So you're already there. You've got your thing. Then you get there, 5-10 minutes early, and then right when the thing goes live, it's going to crash. That happens every time. As soon as it goes live, the first thing it's going to say is sold out. Do not panic. Simply turn your device off or whatever, or log out, log right back in. You'll be one of the first in line. Because everybody quits. They go, oh, shit, sold out. We're done. And then they all go away. And now instead of a bazillion people trying to get in at once, a couple smarter guys are getting in at once, and you get right through. And it's never failed me.
Well, that's some good advice there. I never thought about that. So you go in before the item goes live, get yourself logged into the site, go through the hoops and jump through the hoops and do all what you got to do. And then as soon as it goes live, you wait for it to crash like it always does and say it's sold out when it's not. And then you just
refresh the screen.
Refresh the screen.
Right there.
You're already logged in. You don't have to go through all of that anymore. And then you just grab the item as soon as you can.
They also might try to do the whole verify you're a robot thing, but I mean that's usually real quick if you know what a traffic light looks like and all that. Yeah. And also another thing, there's a thing called like Shop Pay or something. Uh-huh. If Shop Pay gives you a quick like 4-digit code, you punch that thing, it'll run all your information. It remembered you from last time. So then all of a sudden your credit card information is there, your billing address, your name, your account, you're through all the steps. Mm. So that Shop Pay thing really kind of helps. But then it's another one of these things that are getting your information too. So there's also that.
That helps. Like Gojitron was saying, that's the real secret of Castle Grayskull is learning how to deal with Mattel Creations.
How to deal with Mattel Creations, absolutely.
It's never failed me. I've gotten every one I've shot for. I've never had a disappointing experience. Not once.
Well, I've only had one experience with Mattel Creations, but it was positive. I ordered the great big old Batmobile that they did, the remote control, and it was a pleasant experience. I logged in, I selected what I wanted, put it in my cart, and it took a while because there's a pretty big demand for it. But once it showed up, it was, box was minty and everything was what it was supposed to be. So I was happy.
Yeah, I'd say their shipping is top drawer. I mean, the package comes in a box, and even the shipping box is pretty cool. And it's not hanged up or it's immaculate. I've never had a problem.
Yeah, unlike some other retailers, when you order online, you get it in a bubble mailer or who knows what. Looks like it's been drop kicked a few times.
You ought to look at my flash I got from Walmart. Hold on a second. This thing looks like it got kicked down an elevator shaft. The friggin' card is all
no.
See that?
Oh man!
I mean, he is just beat up.
Walmart is notorious for that. Walmart's notorious for that. But Amazon can get you every once in a while too when they put something that doesn't belong in a bubble mailer in a bubble mailer.
Yeah.
And my wife ordered some kind of a chop thing where you put the nuts in there or whatever you want to chop up, and it's supposed to chop it up for you. And it was it was a smoothie maker. That's what it was. She ordered a smoothie maker from Amazon. And they didn't even bother to take the box and put it in a shipping box. They just slapped the label on the box and sent it that way. And it got destroyed, and half of it was gone when I got it because it's in the box that it sits on the store shelf in.
Right. It wasn't meant to be shipped in that box.
No, but they said it was. They said it was a perfectly good box to ship it in. I'm like, no. I went around when they sent another one, sent it the same way. Luckily, it arrived okay, and now I've got a broke one and a good one. So,
well, beyond the shipping woes and dealing with these crowdfunding, for lack of a better term, ideas they're doing for the big ticket items, there's some woeful gaps in Motu Origins. Some things I just don't know why they haven't done. They've done a great job on going deep with the characters. But where is my point, Dredd and Talonfighter?
Well,
where are some of the other
good point? Before we get into that, Ian Sweeney says he has a perfect record with Mattel Creations. He's never tried and never failed.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
that's good.
And that's where I was for a long time. That's where I didn't want to play
that's why you're a winner there, Sweeney.
Yep.
And of course, Bjorn Jorgensen says his Walmart doesn't do that because he goes to his Walmart that has everything that you want in it, and he said he can get you a mini one if you want it there, Joneser.
Bjorn has been a great resource for hard to find items.
Very much so. As a matter of fact, that's where I've got my Green Lantern from, John Stewart Green Lantern.
I already got a minty one. The one that's beat up is going to be my opener.
There you go.
Gojitron chiming in with the same thing we already know. If you're a mint-on card collector, Walmart and Amazon are horrible. Mm-hmm. Target's 50-50. I've never even tried with Target, to be honest with you.
I've had more success with Target than I have with Walmart with their online, especially Motu stuff. They do a sale now and then. I think they might even got one going on right now. In fact, I thought of you, Bill. They got like 40%, 30%, 50% off on some of these items. You were looking for a Savage He-Man. I think you can get one at a pretty good rate on Target.
Well, Adam sent me a link for one for $10, and I haven't really bought it yet because the only thing I want out of that whole set is the Savage He-Man himself, so I can get his feet off of him.
He's got a cool spear.
Yeah, well, I've got a spear. I've got the spear. The spear I've got is actually the spear that came with the Masters of the WWE Universe Ultimate Warrior, which is a copy of the spear that came with the old Mattel Creations Savage He-Man.
That is definitely a value add with this line. They're so modular. They're so easy to do customs. And if you catch a good sale, you can get some cannon fodder to put in a box. And when you're ready to make something special, you've got some bits to pull from. That really is very cool.
Well, what got me with the customizing is those things were interchangeable parts from the get-go. So they kind of made like Moduloc's play feature obsolete because now all the characters are Moduloc. You put whatever head on whoever or whatever arm on whatever.
Well, that brings us to a point. Is Moduloc a figure that you're looking forward to seeing released? How about Too Bad?
Too Bad for sure. And I've got the Masterverse one in my sights because that looks absolutely cool. But Too Bad's a favorite of mine from being a kid. He was one I went to a lot playing with. So I would love to see him in Origins. I'd like to see all of them. To be honest,
speaking of Too Bad, a while back, I saw online, of course, people always are speculating and putting their ideas up. And somebody here's Grindhead Jim. All right, now Grindhead has showed up, and I'm doing this on purpose just for Grindhead because I just love to do this to him.
Don't
Welcome
get me
to
wrong.
The chat, Grindhead Jim.
Don't get me wrong. I love saxophone, but dude, you don't have to do that shit.
You got to make an entrance.
Awesome. I love it,
man. I love making an entrance for Grindhead Jim. We'll have to come up with something better than that, but right now that's what I got. So there you go.
You know, Bill,
a little Pulp Fiction kind of vibe.
That we're friends.
Say that again, Jones.
I think it's Grindhead's fault we're friends. I think that's
it's Grindhead's fault that a lot of this has happened. We discussed that last night on Up All Night.
Yep.
We had a long chat about at the very end. If you want to watch something that's very interesting, watch the last about what was it, hour and a half of last night's Up All Night stream, and you're going to see me and Grindhead Jim and Largo there talking about how things came about. It's an interesting story, and
we got a little meta, and we shifted to ludicrous speed. It used to be the 6 degrees of Kevin Bacon. Now it's the 6 degrees of Grindhead.
Grindhead Jim, he touches a lot.
In a good way. It's not a bad.
I'm gonna say you don't want to leave it just telling you he touches a lot. And then like all the allegations are like, bro, I just woke up like an hour ago.
Your mind always goes there. I guess because you've been on the internet so long, you know how the internet operates, I guess.
Yes, I do.
Well, we were talking about the future of the line, and I'll bring your comment up.
Sure.
Your future wish list is a Fright Zone, Point Dread, and Talon Fighter, core She-Ra characters, all the dinosaur related stuff. and every vintage Motu figure not yet in the line. That's quite a list. And is it in order?
No, because I want all of it. No negotiations. Give me all of it. Anything else that I want has already been announced, like Snake Mountain. We should get a retail Eternia. We should
That's
get.
not happening.
I know, but the Skeleton Warriors, they've already announced them. They've already said that they're going to make them. And I'll give Dan, Pixel Dan, a lot of credit. Like, he kind of took them to task and said, "Hey, man, you better make sure these are available for troop builders, because people are going to want to do that." And the
Can't
theory
just show
that,
them on a display and then not put them out.
right. So he said they're definitely going to come out. It's just a question of what avenue. So I think the smart play, if I were Mattel, I'm not, spoilers, but if I were Mattel, what I would do is do a standard Skeleton Warrior at retail, and then release a special 3-pack troop builder that has exclusive weaponry that the individual doesn't have. Don't go nuts with the packaging. Don't pull that crap you pulled with Mysteries of Grey Skull and everything daggum else. Just just give me a shipper box with a separate little package. They don't have to be fancy.
Well, they did a good job with the Eternian Guard giving us a 2-pack. If they could do something like that, that'd make
they
people
didn't
happy.
do a 2-pack with the Eternian Guard.
No, they didn't. They did not. As a matter of fact, let me do this real quick.
Oh, you're right. You're right. It was with an alternate.
There he is, right there. They did 2 heads.
Right.
I stand corrected. I thought it was a 2-pack of 2 guards, but no.
I thought so too, but I just bought 2 of them.
I bought 4
as well. And I haven't opened yet.
It should have been a 2-pack.
It should have been. But what I will say, like, if you take away the extra set of armor and the extra head, replace that with like 2 or 3 weapons, right? And then throw 2 more Skeleton Warriors in it, that's the pack I'm looking for, right?
Yeah.
Well, yeah, you just end up collecting unmustachioed mounted arms heads. Yeah,
right. Which that's something I have. It's something I got to do. Like, actually, it's one of my honey-do lists for this week is to go over there, grab all 4 of those Eternian Guard boxes off the shelf, get all the excess parts, put them in a bag, get them in the bin, and crush and throw away 3 out of the 4 boxes. So I can just keep 1. I've got it. I'm happy because I got other stuff I want to put up there. And it's here's what's probably going to happen with the Skeleton Warriors. So I know what I want, but here's what they're probably going to do, because they did say that their default was to go Mattel Creations with it. So given the lessons that they have learned, I will bet you that they will either initially just do a made to order, or they'll do, we've got this many made, and then do a made to order the next day like they did with Grizzlord. Yeah, right. And although it's not ideal, I do think that that's as close to consumer friendly as you can get on Mattel Creations at this point.
Right. I'd say of the 2, Hasbro Pulse is definitely a bit more tone deaf. Mattel Creations has some problems, but they do seem to be listening to feedback.
Yeah, they're trying to figure stuff out, and I would not be surprised if CamoCon comes back as an MTO, depending upon feedback.
Yeah. I figure it depends upon how popular he is and how much whining goes. I mean, I don't mean to say that in a bad way, but whining goes on online about how they missed out on him and boo-hoo-hoo, and but that's par for the course with that. I know you had some very, very good luck with Mattel Creations initially with Koldar. And I don't know if you even tried for the Triclops. That might have been the one that
I did. No, I got when that came out, everything was the same day. It was the comic Triclops, Mysteries of Grey Skull, the Faker Duplicat 2-pack, and then of course the the big Horde pack. I passed on those latter 2. I only wanted the Triclops and the Secrets of Grey Skull, and my roommate at the time ordered a Mysteries of Grey Skull. I ordered a Mysteries of Grey Skull, and they also ordered me the Triclops. So we got everything that we set out to get. I still have the extra Mysteries of Grey Skull. It's meant to go to Australia here to Brendan Haley here, and one of these days I'll actually get around to doing it.
Just a quick segue here. Susudio's wondering, do any of y'all collect classic train sets, or do you know somebody who's into that hobby?
I don't
personally.
But growing up, growing up, my dad had 2 separate sets, and he had one for the Christmas tree that he had nailed into a board and then put all the
Cool.
greenery on it and stuff. Just kept the board away, and every Christmas that was part of our experience. So it is something that when I eventually buy a house, I think I'll get around to doing, and I'll decide what kind of train that I want. So the crux of that one will be getting miniatures of stuff that I want. So whether it's miniatures of Godzilla toys or whatever, short
Take
version,
care,
it's going to
Ian.
be
Take care, Ian. Enjoy your dinner there.
yes.
And Nolan's hit the house. We're doing pretty good there, Nolan. You've come at a good time. We're just getting started. Boba Hicks is here. Good to see you there, Boba. And if anybody in the chat can help Susudio, I would certainly appreciate that.
Oh yeah, I'm sure somebody in here is a train
Salt
collector.
showed up. Thank you, sir. I like Salt for showing up. He's talking about N and HO scale trains. But we'll let the trains talk in the chat, and and we'll continue with our subject here about Motu in the future and things that we like. Now, like I said, Jim, you had luck with it, but then suddenly you hit a wall. Tell me about that one, the one that kind of made you mad.
It came down to Grizzlor and Wondar. So just the announcement that Grizzlor was going to be Mattel Creations exclusive, period. And when Wondar came out, not being able to get him, I was like, come on, man. We've been telling you for almost a year now what you should be doing. You're not doing it. And I flipped out and I got really angry. And there's a great video on it if you like to watch me get pissed off. But then only a few weeks later, and I know my video was not why they did this. There was a lot of people, yourself included, that were hugely upset about Wondar. And they listened, and they said, okay, so here's what we're doing. Grizzlor, we have some that are already made. You can have these, and then the very next day you'll get a made to order, and then 2-3 weeks later we're going to do a made to order on Wondar. And I did get both of those. So it does show that more so than their brethren over at Hasbro or the other companies, that they are willing to take the feedback on. But they also have to mitigate certain amounts of traffic. They have to mitigate bots. Now, I've gotten some comments on my CamoCon video and some discussions surrounding it. They're like, oh, you can see that they're kicking out bots left and right. I'm like, no, it just wasn't as popular. And maybe they are kicking out bots. That'd be great if they were. It really would. But I don't see any evidence of that. CamoCon is a paint variant with some great deluxe stuff on it. But at his core, he is a variant of something already retail accessible through pre-order or whatnot. As a result, he's a kind of a niche thing. He's an Argentinian variant that came out back in the day. Some people don't even understand what that is, and they're like, I don't need that. And once again, as with almost every Mattel Creations release, they didn't promote it a whole lot. It just kind of went up. They told people it was coming, but
I got the email that 30 minutes after it was sold out.
Yeah.
Wow.
What good was that?
Yeah. But that seems to be par for the course when it comes to that kind of stuff. I mean, if you want to stay on top of things, you have to pretty much be in front of a computer that day, all day long, knowing ahead of time that it's coming. And if you have a job that lets you do that, that is so much the better. I see you down there, and yes, I envy that in a way, because at one time I had one of those kind of jobs, but I don't anymore. But luckily, and I'm going to go ahead and shout you out, Joneser. Joneser purchased 2 CamoCons, and he said one of those is my Christmas gift. It's going to be late, I know, and that's fine. But just the fact that you did that, it's just a wonderful thing there, Joneser. And
that's good looking out.
You have a heart that fills your whole chest up, my brother, and I appreciate that.
Well, I appreciate you, sir. And it was a last-minute decision for me to buy it because I wasn't going to get him. Because, like a lot of what Grindhead said, it's like,
exactly. I already got the same thing with me.
The paint variant, I asked Lyric, do you want this thing? He didn't even care, So it's like, I didn't care about it. I didn't care about it. And I was like, but I know I can get it with all my sneaky little Mattel Creations tricks. So I'm going to be 1,000% honest. I sell comic books, I sell toys. I'm a reseller. People sometimes don't like that. They even use unflattering terms at you like scalper and things like that. Now,
Well, we've already discussed that many times on this channel, Jonah. There's a difference between a reseller and a scalper.
Big
well,
difference.
what I was stepping on, and I don't mean to pick on somebody commented on me and one of our Grindhead's posts about it, and he's basically calling me one. I was just like, I didn't bother to. I did say one for a friend, and then he said, "Oh yeah, the scalp on eBay." I am not gonna lie. As soon as I got those two, I looked right on eBay, and yeah, they're $70, $90.
Wow.
They were already selling them before Mattel Creations had sold out, which didn't make any sense to me.
That's how they work.
But anyways, I'd be an idiot not to think, hey, $30 equals $70 times 2. I mean, bam, that's money I could put into my comic book business, But I bought it because I would rather it go to a collector who loves this stuff than make money. That doesn't mean anything to me. I mean, obviously, as a businessman, you don't look money in the face and go, "Oh, I don't want it." You guys think I get rich selling toys and comic books? I'm probably making 15 cents an hour right now, bagging and boarding as I'm talking to you guys. You know what I mean? There's no money in this. You do it because you love it.
Right.
If you can make some money, then some fan who didn't get one cries scalper. It's like, bro, I chose not to get $70 and give it to a friend for free. What am I now?
Well,
right. And
we're starting to get off subject, and that's okay. I'm going to let this go because there's something I want to talk about. You're talking about the scalpers on eBay and some of the practices that they do, and you mentioned something that made my blood boil, and that's the fact that even before these things even go live, even before the ass has bought the damn thing, they're putting up these eBay auctions for something that they don't even have to sell in the first place, that they could not get.
Right.
Okay. So what if some poor trusting naive individual has gone ahead and hit the buy now button on that and bought it from this scum, and the scum doesn't even get what he thinks he's going to get, and now he's got to cancel that auction for that individual. I think eBay should put a stop to that. If the thing is not in your hand, you should not be able to put an auction up for something like that. It's like playing a gambling game.
It is. And when it comes to that particular item, the CamelCon, the point that I made, which I hope was pretty clear, was not that I didn't want the figure. It was that I didn't want him for that price. That was the bottom line. And a very generous young man who I've seen occasionally in my comments was like, "Hey, I got 2 of them. If you want one, I'll send one." And I waited a day and I commented and I said, "Yeah, you know what? Hey, if you want to send me one, great. I'd be very grateful for that." But that's not why I make the video, and that's not. I made a decision. It's like, well, that $30 can go towards something else. Like, there's a lot of stuff coming. Christmas is coming. It's like, do I need this? No, I don't. And
well, like in any collecting community, you've got, kind of different levels. You've got guys getting their hustle on. You've got guys that are taking advantage of other folks. And then you've got guys that are just part of the community, try to look out for each other. And I'll grab 2 if I think I can get it for somebody that needs it. And that's a different philosophy. And that's kind of more what we do.
Absolutely. And what I've said multiple times is that I'm a retail completionist when it comes to Motu Origin. It's the one line where I say I gotta have everything that's retail shelf, and I made that assertion early on because I knew the struggle that exclusives would have. I've grabbed a handful of them. I'm happy to have them, but at the end of the day, unless it's a really vital character, I'm okay. I grabbed the Koldar when I did because I was like, one, I'm here, I'm home, I have the opportunity, I have the money, let's see what happens. Do I have a very strong tie to that particular character? No, but I have good memories associated with, hey, I found it, here it is, and put a video up and then ran to Retropalooza. And even Pixel Dan didn't get one. Someone else got one for him because he was on a flight. So it's kind of a, not necessarily a bragging point between me and Dan, but it's just kind of like, well, I was home and I pressed the button. You didn't press the button. You were on a plane. It just.
But it's all in good fun.
Exactly. Yeah. It's very much a good fun.
I'd
But
like
it
to
was
get your opinion on something, guys, because it kind of, I've got a short attention span and my train of thought derails, so I'll throw it out there real quick.
oh really? I didn't know that.
I know. It's shocking.
Oh, look,
So,
a cat.
nope, squirrel. The dilution of the brand, and it's not just Motu. We see this in a lot of them, where
Yeah.
whether it's Marvel Legends or DC, you've got your main line that you
Sure.
love and you try to collect. And then they come out with, well, let's do these giant 12-inch guys that are for a certain type of market that nobody wants. Or let's do these, like with Motu, they've done the Masterverse, which I love. That's the one, that's my main line to collect because I like the articulation and the sculpts better. But now they've got the one for this CGI cartoon, and they're cool for what they are, and they're a different focus for a different market. But when they dilute the brand down and they've got all these different simultaneous lines running, does that endanger your ability as an Origins collector to get some of those far-reaching characters or vehicles or play sets? Because now they're kind of spread a little thin,
I would
and they've
say,
only got.
in the case of Motu in particular, absolutely not. Because they have extremely clear, consistent branding and availability across all three lines. As you stated, each one is for a very different type of collector. They're
Right.
clear about who these are for. The features and quality reflect that across the board. So you've got Masterverse, which is for your hardcore collector, someone maybe who missed out on classics or needs to fill in some gaps from classics or just whatever. Then you have the 3D cartoon line, which is strictly to try and hook new kids into it. They nailed the style for kids to get into it. It's doing very well. Then you've got
It's
Origins,
surprisingly good.
it really is. And the Origins line is for the folks that had the original vintage stuff, want to collect, but they also want that collector level quality all in one nifty little package at a good price. And that, I think, is their core. They know Origins is their core. That's why you're not seeing a whole lot of Masterverse or the 3D cartoon on Mattel Creations. They know their bread and butter is the vintage style one for now. And I would say that most likely, in my opinion, when Origins runs its course in about 2 or 3 years, at least until 2025, that's the last. They said that we have plans until at least then. And at the rate that they're going, I think they have the potential of hitting all the marks that I talked about. I don't think anything's up high in the sky except for a retail Eternia. When that line comes to an end, they will probably keep the Masterverse line going and start expanding it with play sets and vehicles and so forth. I bet that that's where they're going to take their focus because they'll be able to take a fraction of their R&D budget, a fraction of their production costs from Origins, put it into Masterverse, and continue to make some pretty nice profits. And I would not be surprised if at that point the people who are not savvy like a Joneser, who's collecting both Origins and Masterverse, that they're going to be and vintage. Well, we knew that, right? So some people I think are going to, like, when they start to expand that line with vehicles and play sets, people go, "Oh shit, I got to go back and get this and that and the other thing," and they're going to be in a bit of a pickle, which is why, again, I'm only the Masterverse stuff. I want essentially, I've got the 40th anniversary He-Man. I'm waiting for him to do a retail version of Skeletor. Then I'll probably add She-Ra and Hordak. Call it a day. They're going to be feature pieces in my living room. I'll call it good because I do not want to be that person in 3 to 5 years that goes, man, I should just get all the Masterverse stuff too. No. If I have a complete set of Origins, I'm out of the game. I'm done.
Right.
I'm good. From there, it's all oddities and stuff. But as far as the dilution aspect, Mattel is the one company, the only company in modern toys that as far as I'm concerned, that does that kind of diversity, that does it right.
Right.
And the industry could learn something from that because, again, it's the clear, consistent branding. Looking at you, Transformers, bro, no. just no.
Right.
And
they have a plan, and it seems like other companies, they have a shotgun effect. It's like, let's just throw everything out and see what sticks, and then they don't have a budget to tool up something people really want.
Yeah, and what Gojatron is saying here.
Let me address Largo, and then real quick Gojatron here. I know that I might be quoting somebody that's not very popular around here, but he does have a point. Origins initially, I think, was released to be not only hitting a lot of member berries in us older guys who played with the toys, but to create a toy that we could bring to the table and play with our own children with.
They made no bones about that. They've been
Yeah.
very clear about that from the beginning. Like that's
And
in
and
all of their marketing and branding. That's not a
and
revelation from a certain individual.
I think it was Justin Rosh. I think might have been the one who did it, but it might have been the other guy. But he did the stop motion ads for it. He didn't actually make real ads. These were ads that he made for himself. But they were beautiful stop motion ads, where the dad goes to the door, grabs the box from the delivery man, comes in, opens it up, and brings out the He-Man and Skeletor. And then his kids over there playing the video game kind of reminded me of Lyric in a way. And kind of looks over at the dad, and then the mom comes in, and then dad and mom are playing with the toys like they did when they were a kid. And then the next thing you know, the kid's in there with them. And that to me is quintessential thing that they were going for with Origins, and I think that it still is. And Gojitron down here says, if our only option to get Origins was brick and mortar retail, we'd have a problem.
Oh
I
yeah,
haven't seen a new assortment at Walmart or Target in over 6 months. Been getting all new Origin stuff from the Big Bad Toy Store. Now, here's the thing. Walmart at one time was the exclusive distributor of Origins. And what they did was they met MOQ with the very first wave, and so that was enough for them to last a good long while. So they chose not to get very many orders, if any at all, here in the United States of Wave 2. They skipped on it because they had bought all they wanted of Wave with Wave 1. So that second wave ended up going overseas,
right.
and then when it finally opened up at the end, at the beginning, whether it was this year or last year, I can't remember now.
It was 2021. It was spring of 2021.
Yeah, when it opened up so that everybody could sell up that wanted to, Target got in on the market, and they were able to get most of the waves, and they did a pretty good job of getting them out there on the shelf. Now, I've seen these. I saw the Manny faces that the other day when Black Friday when I was out, but that's the only one I saw of it. But I've seen the packs of the re-release of Wave 2 with the 40th anniversary logo on the
There's
card.
there's only like 2 or 3 figures I haven't seen available. Trapjaw being one.
That is a Target exclusive, and it is not it's not for the planogram. It's for that end cap.
End cap. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and they're supposed to be able to set that anywhere in the store they want to. So that the heads up, folks. If all you're doing in Target is running back there to the toy section and seeing if they're there or not, and looking in the planogram where the Motu Origin stuff is, you're gonna miss that. That thing could be over in the clothing section, the boys' clothing section. It could be sitting anywhere in the store that they want to try to put a shut me up toy in. Let's see what you got there, Grindhead Jim.
Yeah, Big Bad intercepted some of these, so you can get Roboto, you can get a Ram Man, you can get Merman, you can still get the Sky Sled, Zodak. Certainly some of the more obscure stuff. So they definitely have Stinkor still in there, and so they're intercepting some of that, but you can see that they're marked up slightly. So, which is always the case, but like a Zodak's going to run you $19 as opposed to your 18 that you'd normally pay through them, and it's something that it's not ideal, and it's certainly not as convenient as a Target end cap, but they've been threatening those for a couple of months, so it's like I said, there's a couple figures, whether it's Target or Big Bad or wherever, that they're still missing. Like the big ones being, they need to redo Orko, they need to redo Scareglow, they need to redo Trapjaw. Those are the big ones. If they re-release those on top of the Manny faces and what we just showed, that would represent at that point you'd be able to get almost any character from the line up to this point with relative ease and relatively low cost. And I don't see other companies doing that or even attempting that with any degree of regularity. So I do give all credit to whether it's Mattel or Target or whoever did that initiative, because you are starting to see a slight tick up in the number of people that are collecting these. And they recognize that, because especially, and I'll be the first one to admit, when I heard about the Snake Mountain, I was, I was very happy. And I think that for a lot of people, there were folks on the fence, like, I know I can get a Castle Grayskull right now. I know I can get all these characters right now. But I think there's a certain type of collector, which is what I call the semi-casual, where they want a Grayskull, they want a Snake Mountain, and about a dozen core figures, and they just put them on the shelf and call it good. And now that the Snake Mountain has been confirmed, there's people that are scrambling to get that stuff. Mattel knew that was going to happen, so they're trying to refill the line, so they're not going to lose out on the money. Whereas a Hasbro and certain other companies are content to just let the secondary market fill that gap. Mattel is putting in the work. Even if they don't do it in the smartest of ways, they are putting in the work, I must say. And given that they've said we've got at least two more full years, up maybe up to 3 if they go all the way through 2025, I'm not worried about the future of Origins very much. I am disappointed by Eternia, but in the context of everything else they're doing, I understand, even if I don't like it.
Sure.
Because at least we're getting everything else. And I don't see a Fright Zone going on Creations. And if it did, it's going to be a lot more reasonable than Eternia was. That's for sure. I
What
would
about the
imagine.
slime pit, Jim?
Oh, Slime Pit's got to come. I'm glad you called that out. It's got to happen. Has to. And that's an easy retail. You put that thing on a shelf for $50-$60. I think it's a reasonable price. It's a small enough box. And the thing that Fright Zone and Slime Pit in particular share for me is that the vintage ones, like, and Joneser can confirm this, like, they have this really rigid plastic that when you're moving it around and stuff. I really look forward to flexible plastic versions of those, so they don't make that noise that makes me want to punch a cat in the mouth. I don't like that. So it's the slime. If I get a slime pit from them, I'm never opening that slime. Not because I'm some kind of a archivist, but because I'm not trying to wash that crap out of any of my figures' crevices. I just think the sculpt of the slime pit is iconic.
Well, I kind of wonder, you're talking about that. I kind of wonder if, I've seen people do their own creations of the slime pit or their own
Sure.
versions of the slime pit and they'll put fake slime in there.
Oh yeah.
And I
Just
kind
give
of
it a diorama effect.
I kind of wonder if they might go that route if they actually release an Origin slime pit, given that a lot of the play features have been changed to something similar
It
in
would
the
be
toy line
really
so
cool
far.
if it were like a translucent, flexible plastic, like almost like just a thin plastic sheet that had holes to put in the teeth. Like, that would be great if they could do that, where you just and it just. I'd love that. You could mold something like that out of styrene relatively easily. If you just take your time and a little bit of heat gun and get it that way, there's a lot of potential with that.
Somebody with a 3D printer is probably going to put something out. I wouldn't doubt it.
Well, looking at you, Will. Looking at you, Will. And there's other opportunities, but you could even use freaking cellophane or like party streamers, like whatever you want, if you want to go down that road. There's so many options where it does seem that Origins leans into display much more than action features. That's kind of like what I was talking about with the Cobra Con. It's like, I don't care. I don't need a squirt gun. I want something that looks cool when I have them sitting still. So that's where that action spit comes into play.
And bringing up play sets, Jim, that really does bring up a good point about what Mattel has been trying to do in evolving some of the classic Origins play sets.
Yes.
The Castle Grayskull they came out with is chef's kiss. It's great. It's got everything you want, and it makes a beautiful display. Then they tried to do that add-on piece with, what was it, Secrets of Grayskull. Great idea, lousy execution because it didn't fit well. But I loved the
Well,
idea that they were going for of doing modular add-ons, and then they've done little pieces that come with some of the vehicles and other sets.
Battlefield Warriors and stuff like
Right.
that too. Yeah.
well,
That's a great idea.
The only thing I wanted out of the Mysteries of Grayskull set was the Explorer spacesuit,
Right.
and they still need to release that Explorer spacesuit in some way so that those who missed out on the Mysteries of Grayskull set can get that.
I agree.
The tentacle monster, who gives a crap? The grate that's too big and doesn't really fit in very well with the set in the first place is an out. And they missed the mark with that Spirit of Grayskull. It's way too big, it's way too bulky, and it doesn't even glow in the dark.
No.
Yeah, it's almost like whoever engineered that didn't talk to the guys who put the castle together.
It's pretty clear that they didn't.
Yeah,
it's pretty clear because all of the, and I rewatched that video the other day because I'm like, man, I got a lot of shit for that video. Like, how snarky am I? And I went back to watch it, and the fact is that the Spirit of Grayskull is gigantic. Reminds me of that movie Basket Case, like this just huge head, and you could have cut down. It's hilarious. They gave us too much of it. And it's the same with the grate. It's too big. I think the tentacle's just the right size. And I think that the armor suit was pitch perfect. That's the best reason to get that set. And for the price point that it was, which was $30 or $35, that was worth it. Like, that was a good price point. So now you got CamoCon coming in at the same price point. Sorry, boys. No. So you had a great Orlax. You had a great suit, and then you could have really scaled down the Spirit of Grayskull a bit, made it more translucent, maybe put a light in there, and certainly the grate again, conceptually love it, but I've said it a billion times, whoever sculpted that thing, why do you have a gate that opens to solid rock, you moron? what
If I could jump in,
yes,
I was there for the very beginning with Motu Origins, just like most of you were. And I'm sure we all remember the Walmart exclusives. We're jumping in the car. We're driving 7, 8 Walmarts trying to find this stuff. Mad every time you don't find it. Happy if you find a Skeletor, even though you already got to. You know, I mean, I did the whole thing. When I found that end cap display, I found it by the hunting guns and the fishing equipment, you know, in Iowa. That's where I found it. So, that they did the same thing back at Walmart. You know, that end cap display can be anywhere. And then I was I bought 1 and 2 of each figures, and I was ecstatic. We got Beastman, Evelyn, Skeletor, Man-at-Arms Tila. As far as Origins goes, it has exceeded my expectation as far as characters that I hoped we would get, because I didn't think it would go this far. I figured, it was just going to be a couple guys like me who are in their 40s, dragging their kid along for the ride, who was happy to have something fun to do with his dad and go toy hunting, and he'd try to talk me into a Star Wars figure while I'm buying a Masters of the Universe one, you know what I mean? And we were bonding and having fun. And as far as the future of Origins, I do think that we're going to see the complete done, and maybe even a few special ones that we already saw, like Koldar and Frogmonger, and we'll probably get some stuff extra.
That brings up a good point. I think I even told you this when we were DMing the other day there, Jones. Or as far as CamoCon goes, he really wasn't on my radar. I appreciate you getting him, though. I'll enjoy him, and he'll have a great place in my collection. But that wasn't what I was after. However, the stuff like Frogmonger intrigues me. Characters that are new and interesting that we haven't seen before. Frogmonger, the Skeleton Warriors. Those are the things that really excite me now.
I wanted those little hover robots that Skeletor had. I'd rather saw that than the Skeleton Warriors, but that was just me being a fan of that.
Let's say goodbye to one of our wonderful ladies here. Miss Susudio is taking off, and you have a good day there, young lady.
Well, Joneser, this really brings up something that Ken, our friend at Toy Connections, was talking about today on his stream. What is the thing that really makes a line work? And Masters of the Universe has the trifecta. You've got great figures, you've got cool vehicles, and you have play sets. If you've got all three, you got that triangle, you're going to have a success. And they've done that well.
Well,
Yeah, well, we got
we're
Grace.
talking about the future. We're talking about the future, and we're talking about future play sets. There's a future play set that we know is coming, and that is Snake Mountain. And Jim, are you frozen? Oh yeah, you're moving. Okay. The Snake Mountain is coming, and we know that that what they have done. Thank you, Jim. I see what you were doing. Thank you. I appreciate that.
Nice.
What they have done is they have also given us the interior that we never got with the original Snake Mountain. Look, there's a bone throne up there. And I think that it has a swivel play feature with that, similar to Castle Grayskull. So you can dump a character into that cage there from the throne room. You can also move that cage over to the other side. If you see that that kind of a red, yellow, and blue piece there, that's a removable piece with some little creatures that are removable as well on there. So that you can have your character end up in that slime pit there, quote unquote. Sure. And from what I understand, when you take those creatures off, the little hole there is not a hole; it's a knob that you can put
figures
the
in
half of your figures onto, so that it looks like they're sinking in the slime. What a wonderful idea! And now, of course, this is the prototype model. It's not the production model, so there's going to be a lot of changes, maybe even to the sculpt, possibly to the color scheme. They've already admitted that that the snake that you see there is going to be vastly different on the actual production model, but that's just an idea of the direction that they're going in. Now, I'm going to go for this Snake Mountain. I'm not going to worry about getting a vintage Snake Mountain.
Right.
There's no need for that for my purposes. But I'm excited.
This is it's a good redesign, and it actually has play features that if you're playing with your kids, they're going to want to play with this.
Yeah. And I hope to see this retail. I hope to actually see this hit the retail. I don't want this to end up being like Castle Grayskull was at Target.
They did in fact confirm at the event that it will be a retail piece, and I think the same thing is going to happen. That happened to Grayskull initially. It's going to be very difficult to get a hold of if you don't pre-order, but then after about 3 months, it'll open up and it'll be easy to get, and that's what it should be. I think it's an amazing update. It harkens back to the original. Doesn't lose anything that was there. Having the throne is amazing. I love the sticker that harkens back to the microphone piece, which we don't need that. But we still have the wolf head. That's awesome. We get a spider, which is kind of nifty. I love the cage and how it matches the deco from the gate. Good reuse of mold, by the way, Mattel. Good reuse of the mold. I like that. They have a weapons rack in there. The only thing that I see that I'm concerned about, I like the idea behind the design of this snake. I do think they need to rein it in a little bit or make it posable, but I love the way this looks. I hope that they keep the idea of it, but make it more, less unwieldy. But the only thing I'm really worried about, and it's just one thing, these manacles here. I want those to be real chains. Give me some ninja action. Now, again, because this is a prototype, I don't have any reason to be super worried because I think they'll be smart enough to do that. I don't think they're that stupid.
Well,
I really don't.
I think that it's possibly going to be what you see there, Jim. But here's the thing about those manacles, and this is what I am going to do. Okay, the chains you can buy, the little small tiny chains that look just like chains on an action figure, are easily purchased in spools at Walmart and Hobby Lobby. You can also buy the small screw eyelets that you can screw into something, and you can get that chain on that. And these replacement manacles are available at reasonable prices from places like Talos, Dream Shop, etc., etc.,
Oh yeah, and I
etc.
have a set
all
of
over
those.
the
I
place.
have a set for my vintage.
Yeah, and what you do is you make your own chains, and you forego what comes with the set, or either put that into a plastic baggie and put it in the box when you get ready to store that.
Oh
And when
sure.
you display your set, you go ahead and customize it, because that's what I am. I'm a customizer. I don't care about keeping something in vintage, or mint in box shape when I'm trying to make what I wanted to be the toy, what I thought the toy should have been in the first place.
Right.
And lack, yes, I live right next to the dang railroad track, so there's nothing I can do about that unless I guess headphones and a mic. But
Bill, are you saying you're a kid from the wrong side of the tracks?
well, I've lived on both
That
sides of those tracks, so yeah, there. But
now,
it's
You
just
know,
something I don't even hear it anymore. But
right. Talking about customizing, having the play sets as they are great. They don't take up a lot of space. They're great for display. I've seen a couple of customizers who have, like with the Gray Skull, they've bought 2 Gray Skulls
mhm.
and converted one to make a 4-sided Castle Gray Skull, and they've changed around some of the pieces. But how cool would it be? I don't know how feasible it would be, but if Mattel was to make a add-on piece where you could add 2 more sides and have different play features inside, if you wanted to make a 4-sided fort for your fellas,
I
or
don't know if
spread
any
it
of you
open.
guys are subscribed to Hebro, but
Yep.
Hebro
Mhm.
has a pretty decent
Yeah,
add-on pieces, the floor pieces and wall pieces and arches that really filled out and made me super looking at what he's doing and going, oh wow, that looks like fun. That looks
Yeah.
like what I think we
I've seen Hebrews Ultimate Castle Grayskull. And if anybody here hasn't, I suggest that you go and check his channel out and see some of the things he's done. Now, the only gripe I've got, and it's really not a gripe because I understand, is the price point that he has on that stuff, and the availability of it, and the way you have to go, the hoop you have to jump through
Right.
to get him to make you one. So
Right.
that the idea is great. My feasibility of me getting anything from him like that, small, negligible. If it were available, such as the way Talos Dream Shop does his stuff, it would be a whole lot better. And Lack, no, Bjorn had to go, so he's not here, sir. But if you need a mod, Largo or Grindhead Jim can help you if you need a mod.
Indeed.
Mhm.
When it comes to Snake Mountain, like I have a complete vintage one. I have added some custom aftermarket pieces from various places. But one thing that I was missing that I've kind of been eyeballing is the Bone Throne. And there's a few places on Etsy where you can get one,
Mm.
but the price of those is understandable. It's
Mhm.
around 150 bucks. I haven't pulled the trigger. And when this got announced, I said, "Well, for my money, as long as this is 150 or less, it's knock knocks it right out of the park."
Hmm.
Because then it's just a matter of custom painting and so forth. And I'd had a relatively recent live stream in the last couple months with Joe Dickerson, who's kind of a bit of a toy creation savant. And I, at the last second, I was like, "Dude, can you make floors for Snake Mountain? Come on!" And but now we have a Snake Mountain that has floors
Hmm.
and it has play features that make sense. And knowing that it's going to be at retail and that the price point will probably be around 120 to 150, it makes sense. I'd love $100. I think that would be pitch perfect, but I understand why they might have to go a little bit higher, and I'd be okay
Yeah,
with.
I'm thinking this is going to cost way more than Castle Grayskull, because the play features that are included in this are more than Castle
Yes,
Grayskull,
yes.
and this more than makes up for the disappointment of the vintage Snake Mountain, in my opinion. Which is why
I
I'm not going to go for a vintage Snake Mountain. I'm going to go for this now. I have to admit, some of the other things that may or may not ever get released, I've already pulled the trigger on to get vintage versions of it. And a good example of that would be the battle ram. I don't think we'll
Mm.
ever see the back end of the battle ram unless they get desperate. And
Mm.
but I've already bought a vintage complete battle ram. All I need to do is restore it and put some new stickers on it, and I've got the back end if I need it. And I actually want to use that front end of it for my recreation that I'll someday do of the original mini comic of He-Man and the Power Sword, instead of using the new version of the Sky Sled, simply because it attaches to that back end of the battle ram.
Now, I would forgive them for not doing a full battle ram if they give us an attack track that's closer to the cartoon version, somewhere between the old vintage attack track and the cartoon one, where it's a multi-seater and a bit bigger. Doesn't even have to be motorized. Just give me the same mechanism and let me push it. I'd love a motorized one, but we're not going to get one. So just give me a big troop carrying attack track, and all is forgiven with the battle ram. Like, because really all the battle ram back of it is some wheels and a missile launcher. That's all it is. It's a badonka.
I'll be honest with you, Jim. I hated that attack track in the vintage show. When I was a kid, I saw that. And I went, that is not what the attack track looks like. What is that blue box? That
I agree.
But I'm saying thing happened to me there, Joneser. Yeah, I agree.
Well, what I mean is, if you take the design of the vintage toy, but expand the cockpit to have a co-pilot, like a Rio from like a plane or something, just one person behind, some foot pegs on the sides, so you've got like a personnel carrier. I think that would be the way to go. If they went that direction, yeah.
I hear what you're saying. It's just you invoke some venomous hatred of 5-year-old me that was an angry old man.
Did you not like it when the attack track talked to everybody? Was that annoying for you as well?
Yes.
I did not like that voice either. I think that is dumb. I try to mute it when I see it on the TV.
Another thing I gotta throw out there is I don't know if you remember, but there was a Dragon Walker, and he was featured in the vintage cartoon. And my cousin, he's a Ninja Turtle guy. He missed the boat on Masters of the Universe. I was a Masters of the Universe guy. So we're watching the Masters of the Universe stuff, and there's a moment in the cartoon where, like, Man at Arms or somebody says, "Oh, we have to get there in a hurry. Let's go in the Dragon Walker." And it's ring, ring, ring. My cousin's just looking at me like, really?
You can help run faster than this.
Yeah. Well, it's like the Wind Raider in the cartoon.
Everybody gets the feels on that Dragon Walker. That is not something that I even care to even go for if they release it.
I've got 3 vintage ones if you want one.
I was going to pull the trigger on for vintage just because they're one, easy to fix, two, relatively $20, and then
they're easy to repair. I've repaired them.
Yeah, a little bit
WD-40 with a number 2 pencil. You can literally take a number 2 pencil, mess with those battery contacts, pull them out, and then voila. I bought the thing cheap off a guy. He said it hadn't worked in 20 years. And then I sent him the video of it working. He's like, son of a, I should have charged you $10 more for that. You would have fixed it.
And there's something very satisfying about that, Joneser, when you find something that somebody, they figure it's just junk and you bring it back to life and put it in your collection. It's like, yeah, that's a win, man.
Oh, he was happy. He saw He-Man scooting across my bedroom floor, and he was like, I'm glad that, because that was his childhood toy. And he parted with it, for a reasonable price. He was selling all stuff, and I bought a bunch of them, and he was like, yeah, it doesn't work. And I'm like, well, I'm going to make it work.
Right. Now it has a good home.
All right, so we're talking about the future of the line and what may or may not come, and we've touched on a few future things that people may want or may not want, and that is more vehicles, more play sets. We've already talked about Point Dread and the Talon Fighter. That's a given. I mean, everybody wants that.
Well, you see it on the box art too. There's a good.
It's been teased, which makes me think that's a definite. And of course, all of those people who bought the Origins Grayskull Castle want to have that topper from the Point Dread to go on there. So I kind of think that's pretty much a given that we're going to see that. Stuff like the motorized stuff like the Dragon Walker and the Attack Track are kind of iffy in my opinion. We may or may not see those.
Spydor.
Oh yeah.
that's another motorized toy that I think there's a place for because everybody wants it. There was also something that Hordak would rode on that was
Monstroid.
Yeah,
It rolled. He rode on the Mantis, which wasn't
Mantis
motorized,
is what I was
but
thinking of.
Monstroid was another motorized
Right.
one.
And an easy
of course-
repaint would be that the Stridor Evil version.
Yeah,
Night
Night
and-
Stalker.
Yeah,
And the evil Wind Raider that they teased on the Wind Raider. And
I agree with you, Jim, because you've said in the past that you believe that those are going to be released towards the end of the line.
Yeah,
as
I wouldn't
quick and dirty,
Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised if the 2025 line is a combination of repaints and new vehicles and basically anything where they're doing variants of anything and then adding in the last vestige of new vehicles just to get them out there so they can do it, because that's a good point to do it, because any risk they're taking, it doesn't matter. They don't have a fiscal budget to worry about the next year. So I think you're going to see a lot of wild releases at that point.
Bill had mentioned the battle ram, and quite honestly, I have a perfect idea for them to get that out there. Is because a lot of us wanted to army build sky sleds. When you saw the box art, everybody had a sky sled. There was like 3 bad dudes and 3 good dudes all zipping around, and to me, that's a lot of what Masters of the Universe means. Is the Spanish fantasy space, kind of like Lord of the Rings meets Star Wars. I think that's what gave it its rub. Or Dungeons and Dragons meets Battlestar Galactica, whatever way you want to look at it. But you could release the Sky Sled without the Prince Adam, or even with the Battle Ram. Because, if you wanted to army build Sky Sleds, you were army building Prince Adams, whether you wanted to or not.
Yeah.
You weren't even getting a Battle Ram.
Yeah, it's kind of like with Mecha Neck and the Road Ripper or Ground Ripper. It's like,
Right.
I don't need 20 Mecha Necks, but I would like to have a couple extra Rippers to put on the display.
And I got lucky,
especially considering that they put that extra front piece in there so that you could make a bad guy one.
Yeah, I wanted to get a bunch of them, and we got one for me, one for Lyric, and I got one I left in the box.
And of course, they had to include one of the lamest of the lame, poor old Mechanic. Not to throw shade on him. I had a vintage Mechanic back in the day, and I mentioned that by getting a Mechanic out there, I now have in Origins form all of the figures that I had as a child now. So if I were just buying what I had when I was a kid, I got it all now except for one thing. And
like I never had a Ninja. I never had there was a few characters as a kid I didn't have, and as an adult I may have tracked down. Like I never had a King Randor as a kid. As an adult, I got one before they got crazy expensive, but yeah, some of those Origins figures I never had as a kid.
Same.
But I'm
Joneser, if you put together kind of a list of what in the Filmation cartoon we're still missing in the line, I'd imagine you've probably got a better eye for that.
Well, I can tell you right now, we don't have Cyclone, we don't have Mon, we don't have Rio Blast, we don't have Extendar. So those are some of the good guys that I'd like to see a Queen Marlena, which never made a vintage release.
That's gotta
we don't have the Rockmen, so the Rockmen didn't make it yet. As far as bad guys, they're a little more complete. I think they're only missing 2 bad. Maybe a couple of the snake people, Snake Face and Squeeze. And I think and Dragster from the Horde. But I think for bad guys, they've got more of them. The good guy ones are the ones they're missing. And then if you want to go down the rabbit hole and get like Sir Laser Lot and Eldor and, a lot of the, Hero and some of the ones that never made it, Well,
one of the nice things is the line is so modular that if you want to get a character like Eldor, and he was here earlier himself in the chat, I think, you can get Masters of the WWE Universe figures. You can get WWE Superstars figures and other versions of the Masters of the Universe Origins line, and you can create anything that you want using those bucks, and then one of the most wonderful heads that they've done so far that is customizable is the Stone Cold Steve Austin head from Stone Cold Trap Jaw. It ain't got no hair on it. It's got minimal face sculpt. It can be anybody you want, with just a bare amount of customization.
And he's still out there pretty cheap too.
Yeah, very cheap. And an Eldor figure could be made very easily. A Keklar figure could be made very easily using that head. And
that's a great thing Mattel has done, is created a offshoot line that is complementary to what you've already got. If you like wrestling, you like Motu, here you go. And they work great with each other.
Gojatron wants to see some of the characters that were in the movie Blade, Sorod, and Gwildor. Stay tuned, man, because eventually I think a lot of that stuff is going to come out. But as I've said before, at this point in the line now, I'm more excited for things that we never saw on the line. Like the Skeleton Warriors, Frogmonger, Queen Marlena is a must, and that better be freaking retail. I'm telling you.
Cringer. Cringer. Cringer was smaller than Battle Cat. Had a friendly.
Exactly.
I swear, that would be an ultimate way of re-releasing Prince Adam with a more vintage head sculpt. Is a Prince Adam and Crinjar 2-pack. And I'd like to see that retail, but I think if they did that, it would probably be one of our nemesis over there at Mattel Creations thing. But that's something that I would go for in a heartbeat.
And I wouldn't be surprised
if we talked about what we wanted. How about what we don't want? Like, I better not see that freaking bratty kid from the one episode that, wasn't listening, and then Uncle Montork and Driel and the freaking Yuckers. You better not see any of that.
That little lizard guy that like the one-off characters that are just in one episode. I don't care.
Yeah, the bunny guy from the
I don't want to see rabbits, and I don't want to see what was that turnip head thing that showed up. It was a plant creature.
Serbs, power me, Negator.
All right, Jim, you were trying to make a point there just a second ago. I would like to hear what you were going to say.
With the Prince Adam, I think if they're going to do the re-release and they do it with a 2-pack with Cringer, the thing that would make sense is his tunic would be blue to match the comic book. If they did that and then also had the proper vintage sculpt, I think that plus Cringer, that's an easy. They can print money charging $30 for that, and I would buy it without any hesitation. If you really want my money, you can charge $35 and give me a little chair for him to sit in whatever my version of Eternia, the Eternian Palace is. Because that
Gojatron brings up a good point. The Masters of the WWE Universe Andre the Giant was modeled after Titus. So would they do a version of the Giants? I think we're going to see the Giants eventually in some form or fashion. Yes, Grindhead, exactly, because they are right there. They've been featured on the back art of CamelCon there. Right. And now, if they do you think that they're going to be the size of the Andre the Giant figure, or do you think they're going to actually be the size that they ought to be as compared to the 5.5-inch figures?
I expected 11 or 12-inch figures. That's what I expected.
I'm with Jim.
Same.
Now in the classics line, they did something like that, didn't they? Where they made the
Giants were released, but they weren't released in the United States. They were released overseas.
Right.
Yeah.
I'd like to see Granomir, the dragon. They did him in classics.
Yep.
Granomir was one of my favorite characters.
If they did an Origins version of Granomir, that would be great, because most folks that would want a Granomir that didn't get in on that on classics would go for that, because the classics version of Granomir is way out of my price range now on the secondary market.
And if they come out with these dinosaurs here, which everybody's really excited about.
Jim, expand on that, because you are really excited about those dinosaurs, and I'm kind of ambivalent about them, to be honest with you.
Well, I mean, they're dinosaurs in Motu. What's not to love?
With lasers.
Yeah, they're big.
Lover would say that.
Yeah, they're big frick-off dinosaurs, man. You got a Tyrannosaurus Rex, you got the Triceratops, you got a pterodactyl there in the back. And then you're also talking about bringing in kaiju-sized giants. Like, come on, man, let's go. Let's
Well,
go.
here's an obscure one. We'll see if you guys know, and I wonder if they'll touch. What about the meteorbs?
Oh, dude, yeah, the
Ooh.
little, like the half-ass
The little
transformers.
ball things that
Yeah.
turned into like little animals or whatever.
You know, those were from a whole different toy line that was released, I think, in Japan, if I'm not mistaken. That was kind of incorporated into the Motu line there towards the end to save a little money.
Those things
Now,
I
as far
totally gave up on trying to track down for my vintage line because to me they're not part of it.
Same here.
In my head canon. But
now, as far as,
you know,
tie-ins, I mean, what they've done with the wrestling figures is a great example. There's some other properties that would fit beautifully with this Motu origin style body. You could do Black Star, you could do Brave Star, and you
Dude,
could
if
fit
they
that in the
get-
Motu universe.
Yeah, the problem with
they
that is going to
acquire-
be your trademarks and copyrights and all that kind of stuff.
If they managed to, if they acquired Sunman, I
Yeah.
wouldn't put it past them to
that.
acquire Black Star. If they put Black Star in Origins, my dick will explode. I'll be so happy. It would be amazing.
Well,
It would be a great
to see
team
some
up.
of the, what were they, the Remco Galaxy Warriors or whatever they were.
Yeah, the
You know,
Warlord
some
line
of
as
those
well.
were kind of cool. Some of the other knockoff brands, you know.
I think that what we might see, and this is far flung, really like crazy prediction, a way to extend their profits from Origins. When Motu Origins finishes, they just snatch up, Warlord, Black Star, Brave Star, all that stuff, reuse the bucks, put them out. That's why we're going to see a Rio Blast towards the end, because that's your gateway into a Brave Star line in Motu scale. But they'll brand them as such. And if they do that, holy hell, is that smart.
Absolutely.
And dude, if they do Black Star, that means we get that castle over again, possibly.
And Warlock.
Warlock, exactly. Like, I had a Hercules when I was a kid from that line.
Yeah.
I was in love with that character. I remember vividly buying him and being impressed with the soft goods and everything else, and the weapons were cool, and he just fit right in. I think they would snatch up all those knockoff brands and do them justice. That's a way to extend the profitability of what they've done without having to brand it Origins.
And Grindhead brings up a very good point. If they did that, they could save a lot of money on tooling because the tooling's already made.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. These are so adaptable. You could easily make new characters with a lot of the body parts they've already produced.
Japanese name for the meteorbs is, I can't pronounce that.
Tamagoras.
Tamagoras.
Now let's now super crazy.
Let's go there. I was going to go there. I was going to ask each one of you guys here towards the end of the show to just go as far out in left field as you possibly can. Go Grindhead.
What if Mattel not only got back the DC license, but also got the Marvel license temporarily, okay? And they did a Secret Wars revival and an Infinite Earths crossover. So you have, from both sides of the pond, all your favorite core superhero characters in Motu scale. Primal Age kind of went there with the DC stuff, but I think that if you did an Origins kind of stuff with the customs we've seen out there, even if they just re-release the Secret Wars line as Motu Origins, like I don't mind seeing a muscle-bound black suit Spider-Man or a crazy muscle-bound Doctor Doom. That'd be cool as hell, man.
That would be awesome.
There's cool things that they could do, but I do think the crazy stuff would be like the Brave Star and the Black Star and Warlord and all that stuff, and just really bringing that stuff to the fore. You could call it you could call it Motu Legends.
As far as that goes, Jim, I would love to see all that Galaxy Warriors, Galaxy Fighter stuff get released as Motu figures, but not necessarily branded Motu, because it all comes to an end eventually. But if before it dies in the end, if they start releasing this stuff on something that they don't even have to worry about paying Universal any rights to on a blank card, kind of like the WWE Superstars thing, I would go for that.
Mhm.
You know, like your Pulsar, like they did that Pulsar and the other two guys that they
Yeah,
released them in a weird,
Major Matt Mason, and
like,
yeah,
Mhm.
yeah. But Pulsar as a Motu Origins figure, like, that's one of the first toys I remember having as a kid.
oh
Like all
yeah,
day,
Mhm.
every day.
big
Like,
time.
hook me up. That would be amazing.
Yeah,
Just
that
little
special for the Comic Con was kind of a misfire. If they had done them in the Motu Origins body style, I think that would have been much more popular.
sold like hotcakes, dude.
Yep.
Gojitron brings up a good point. Do you think, and we've already
Ooh.
seen this in that 40th anniversary pack, New Adventures of He-Man figures done in Origin style?
I think that's
Mhm.
cool, but I think that the play would be to do those in Masterverse style. I think that's where those would live. The way that they were
Mhm,
originally built, their proportions, much
mhm.
more akin to Masterverse. And I think you could do some really cool stuff with it. But I wouldn't say no to them in Origins ever. But
Sure.
I do think they'd be
I
better in
would.
Masterverse.
Boba we'd like to see.
That to me, that
Boba,
never happened. I don't even know what you're talking about. He-Man went where? No, he didn't.
well, Boba Hicks says he would like to see a New Adventures style He-Man and Skeletor in the Origins line, and
Yeah.
I
At
think
retail.
just stay tuned, folks. You never say never on that, as we say over at Resurrection Toys.
That's right.
And Largo, I know you're not the biggest fan of the Origin series. I know that you're more in Masterverse because of the way it fits in with the rest of your collection. But
Right.
is there anything just way out there that you think might happen with Origins?
Well, kind of like what we've touched on, Mattel has so many IPs that are just collecting cobwebs that they could revitalize using what they've already built with Motu Origins. Pulsar is a good example. Big Jim. Could you imagine Big Jim and his wolf pack in this style? Even if they don't fit into the Masterverse or to the Motu
That would be
Origins.
awesome. It would almost like the circle is complete
Yeah, and that would be
because
kind of like Mattel's version of a special, special forces or GI Joe type, but do it in the
Sure.
Motu Origin style. Man, that would be so awesome. And get some of that classic Kirby style art that they used for the original line, and really go to
well,
town. Just
speaking of Kirby, what if now we're going way out there now? What if we saw Origins versions of the Fourth World?
ooh, yeah, that's what should have happened in the first place.
Well,
I'd love to see a
exactly. Well,
dark
and that
side
brings up a good
and
point that
mhm.
you may know, and I know everybody here on this panel probably already knows, but maybe some people watching may not. If it weren't for the Fourth World, a lot of what we see in Origins wouldn't be there because they were going to do a Fourth World toy line,
Yeah.
and they had gone so far as to create artwork and prototypes and stuff for it. And
Mhm.
when that fell through and didn't happen, they just reused some of that stuff in the He-Man line when they finally released it, Masters of the Universe.
Yep.
And
Like Zodak was Metron, basically.
yes.
Pretty
And
much.
the one thing I want to kind of come back to the first comment that I made regarding this in the chat. And I say it now because we're talking about super far flung pie in the sky. I'm telling you, they got to redo the core She-Ra characters, man. They got to
Yeah.
redo the core She-Ra character. But that's a far flung wish. Granted,
Well,
you've already got the buck from She-Ra. It wouldn't be that hard to
I've got
do.
a question now. Let's go down this rabbit hole just for a second here, Jim. Do you think that if they I think they need to release a She-Ra in this way as well as the rest of the core characters. Do you think that the little girl hair play should be involved in any figures that they release from the She-Ra line?
No, absolutely not.
Okay.
Absolutely not.
And can you expand on that? Why you think that that shouldn't be?
Uh, Durability first and foremost.
Mm.
Also, it's not going to appeal to a lot of people. I think the opportunity with re-releasing the She-Ra characters is to revitalize love for that part of the lore, regardless of what your gender is or what how old you are. Because there's a lot of people that's our age that looked at the She-Ra stuff and said, that's cool, but not cool enough. It doesn't fit. The scale wasn't right, and it didn't jive with the cartoon. It's like I said in my Crystal Castle overview. It was cool, but it did not jive with what they were putting forth in the Filmation cartoon, which is a very powerful, very wise character, and they gussied her up a little too much. I understand where it fits for young girls' toys, and it was a very viable toy in its own right. But I think that as time it came full circle, was truly embraced into the Motu line rather than being an ancillary side thing, so that it really is on par and gets the credit that it's due, because the original designer railed for months and years against that kind of, for lack of a better word, gentrification of her original warrior queen idea that she had that they had contracted her to do. So if we take a lot of the cool concepts like your Katras and so forth and really make them powerful, imposing,
Well,
effectual people, I think it would be very cool.
well, let me
Right.
interject.
We've already seen a
and
little bit of that with Masterverse, where we've seen a Catra,
Right.
and I think
Yeah.
there's a few others are going
I
to be
was just
dropping.
going to say that. I think Mass is kind of testing the waters for She-Ra and Origins. I think if the Masterverse ones start to move, then obviously they're going to see there's some money on the table there. Might as well go.
Well, since we've run down the She-Ra hole here, the question I also want to ask: if we were to do that, do you think that the Origins version should match more Filmation look, or should they go ahead and try to go for the nostalgia of looking like what they actually looked like when the girl department was doing them at Mattel?
I think something in the middle, like the She-Ra we got, because that's right smack in the middle. It hits all the buttons, and it's feminine without being, again, stereotypically feminine. It's a good buck. The sculpt was great. I loved the tiara. I want to go a more cartoon tiara would be nice. You can get those easily. It's not a big deal. But the big thing that opens up a whole other cash cow. You could do the Crystal Castle in updated version. You could do Swiftwind and the other horses and the Crystal Lake, but you could update them and make them more not action oriented, but more actiony things you could do with them. And they should have been that toy line that got girls and boys playing together and having fun and bringing people together. And it was close, but it wasn't close enough. And I think that's the opportunity where if we're really trying to rekindle a generation's love and inspire new stuff, I think that's a place you could take it. I think it'd be really cool.
Yeah, they needed to kick the Barbie designers out of the room when they were putting that together.
Well, that brings up another point, and don't worry, Joneser, I'm going to get to you, my brother. But as far as the She-Ra line goes, do you think that it should have the Masters of the Universe Lava Rocks branding, or should it have a She-Ra branding on it? The Grindhead.
I'd love to see it be She-Ra branding personally, because selfishly I want those card backs. However, I think that doing a combination where like it starts at the lava and then it blends into the crystal and comes up, and then has Motu Origins at the top in a small font, but Princess of Power is big again, just like they did with She-Ra. I think that would be the way to do it. And Mr. Home Arcade, they've already said they have plans through 2025. So, and they said that they're not planning that to be the end, but that's what they have already slated to come out. So we're good there. And that's part of why we're able to entertain these kind of wild ideas. Like, well, what happens after that? She-Ra branding. And I think that they touchstoned on it with that She-Ra release where it was very, you got a little bit of both worlds. I think they could go a bit more blendy with it. But personally, in a perfect world, even though it's not a good branding decision in terms of selling, a straight up She-Ra Princess of Power card back would really twinge the old heartstrings.
Well, that brings up a good point that I'm going to just go ahead and throw out there. One of the downfalls of the She-Ra line vintage was that the girl department got a hold of the line and they went total girl with it. And so the She-Ra line ended up being an orphan, and it ended up in the girls section where boys do not go, will not go, don't want to be seen in. Get me out of here. Look at all this pink crap. I'm about to die. I'm going to scratch my eyes out. So they missed an opportunity on that because girls will go on the boys aisle and buy.
Absolutely. And
So,
again, that was a failure of the brand.
yeah. And so that's that. And Mr. Home Arcade, he's giving you some good praise there for helping him get rid of some anxiety that he might have had. and now let's move on. Joneser, what would you like to see in the future of the Origins line? Just go as far out there as you possibly can go that you would love to see.
Well, for me personally, and I don't think it's really that far out there, but it is something I don't think is going to happen. But we talked about the different castles, the fright zones, where I'm going with this. Now, those castles, the party's inside. There's not a whole lot outside except for the drawbridge. With Snake Mountain, the party was outside because there wasn't a whole lot going on inside besides the microphone, maybe a net. With the fright zone, there was nothing inside. I mean, there was where you could reach the sock puppet was about it, you know. So the whole party was in the front. There was nothing inside. So if they do a fright zone, I'd like them to kind of do the whole idea they did with the Snake Mountain, where they add some stuff inside. But I mean, what would that be like? Because it was kind of a smaller set, you know. So my thought was, since we're talking slime pit, fright zone, what if that was all one piece? And it was all kind of attached together. We had a slime pit fright zone with some stuff on the inside. You know, I think that would be the chef's kiss on that one for sure.
Well, on that thought, what about a slime pit playset, a fright zone playset, but they're modular so that if you've bought both of them, they hook together.
My vintage ones always slid together that way, and I always wished they would do that. That's kind of where the idea came from for me, you know. That and then just to have, because again, the slime pit, when you go to the back side of it, there's nothing there, you know, which I don't think there was ever meant to be. But like, you know, when you see the box art for it, it looks like it's a whole thing. There's Hordak sitting on the top, you know. And so I mean, it would just be neat if they kind of expanded on that, but I don't know what it would be. You know, I mean, somebody smarter than me would have to come up with what would be going on in there, how it would work to still have that vintage look, but get a little bit of a modern touch.
Well, he kind of had his own little lair in the cartoon series, the Hordak, and then
Yeah,
had
they
the
look
Sanctum
nothing like the toy, just like Snake Mountain. They look nothing.
So that I think that would be your jumping off point. That your outer front piece is your slime pit and your fright zone. Thank you. And then the inside could be the Sanctum and so you could hit on the new series, the old series, and kind of just combine everything into one big cool play set. But I do think, again, oversizing it so the fright zone itself is bigger, make that tree massive, give it some height and some width, so the inside could really be fleshed out. I think that would be an amazing thing to do. And if we're talking about bringing She-Ra into the fold, that's a perfect excuse to do it. You revamp the Crystal Castle, make it slightly smaller but taller, so not as wide, but make it nice and tall, so it's more of that crystal formation and stuff, and have some cool things. Because again, the Crystal Castle in the cartoon was way cooler than the one we got in the toy line. So I think taking that opportunity would be cool.
Mm-hmm. I hate to jump in here, but to me, like, the fright zone had nothing to do with She-Ra. When I first saw those toys, they were part of the He-Man line. It wasn't until the cartoon came out where they incorporated that. And then the horde you saw there was a little more like technological, whereas the ones I saw in the mini comics or in the toys, I thought were more like creatures out of a horror movie. You know, like Hordak was like Dracula, and Grizzlor was like the Wolfman, and Leech, like
that was the boys department saying, okay, you got She-Ra, but we're keeping the horde over here on the boys aisle because you're not going to sell that over there anyway. And that was a smart decision to make.
And that made sense, but like for me in the 80s, I had a little sister, so I spent plenty of time in the girls' aisle. So they're you know, it didn't bother me. I didn't care to this day, I don't care what people think of me, even as a
Well,
kid.
that's
You
because,
know?
that's because we're based, man. We're based, and we always will be. And that's one of the things I love about you, Jungle.
But there's definitely opportunities there, playset wise, if they reimagine the Fright Zone to make this the Horde's base and make it something really cool, like a Snake Mountain, but different. And if they did something for the Snake Men, where they give them a base that is very snake motif just for them, even if it's just a Snake Mountain that's been redesigned for when the Snake Men take over, it'll sell all day.
Reuse the book. Yeah, you just repaint it to be a bit more green, and you put some little attachments. It'd be fun.
Well, wasn't that original Snake Mountain just a Big Jim redesign from the Jungle playset, the Big Jim?
Wasn't Big Jim. That was going to be from the original mini comic. That was going to be where He-Man's home was. It was going to be a Jungle playset for He-Man, and that got repurposed with a vehicle, I think, that never got released up for the head of it, and they all mashed it together and made a Snake Mountain out of it. And that's what I was going to come to. That's what I was going to come to. And when it was my turn, of the things that could be done, it's way out there that I don't think they're ever going to happen. We did get a tease of that of a play set that I don't think is going to get released on the back of the card for. I can't remember the figure. It might have been Fisto. But we saw in the background a unreleased playset that was going to hang on the wall playset.
It was the Fisto card.
Yeah, it's on the Fisto card. I was correct. Then the Jungle playset that could be very well done by retooling the Snake Mountain set that they've already done here for the future Origins release. Now, the other thing that I think would be a wonderful addition to the Origins line, and would help if they're going to do She-Ra as well, would be thank you, Jim. Let me put that up there on the screen so they see what I'm talking about. Back there behind Fisto, you see it back there. And it even has the pulley crank there with something hanging off of it. Yeah, that was something that was going to be done, but it got as far as prototype, I think, but never even came up. But where I was going though is She-Ra had a lot of horses in it, so let's go ahead and get Tila's unicorn charger and make the dang thing articulated like Stridor, so you can move the legs around on it. It's not a statue.
Wouldn't be that hard to sculpt.
And of course, as we well know from the artwork, Tila's unicorn charger was a regular horse sometimes and was a unicorn horse sometimes. So make the headpiece have a unicorn horn on it, so you can either have it on there or not have it on there, depending on how you want to play and imagine things for Tila. And that would be a wonderful addition. And of course, the tooling then would be ready for all of the horses between and the She-Ra line.
Yeah. And again, mo money, because you just take that one fully articulated horse, you cast it in different translucent plastics and paint jobs with different armor and different color wings and whatever, and you put the branding on it, and you charge $20-$30 for it, and I'll buy them. I'll buy them along with more shelf space, and I'll be like, look at this. Boom. And then it would be great for me, because the goal is for me to take the Snake Mountain, put it in storage, take the Crystal Castle, put it in storage, give me all this Origin stuff, and make that the centerpiece of the whole collection. Like, go, Mattel, if you're watching this, and I know you're not, but if you are, go ham. Go ham. We will snatch it all up. I will eat that breakfast until the day I die. Now, granted, I don't mean that Origins should last until I'm in my 70s. That would be fun. No, I'm good with about another 8 years. Give me 8 more years. Put everything out you possibly can think of, including Black Star and Brave Star and Gunstar and A Star Is Born. And
well, as far as the Origins itself line, and I'm not talking about any sidelines, but just speaking strictly Masters of
Sure.
the Universe, something that I'm more interested in than releasing it, of any more of the vintage figures is figures that we've never seen before, or figures of characters that we wish they had gotten around to. Queen Marlena being a perfect example of that.
By far,
I want
biggest
a
one.
Queen Marlena, and it better be retail.
Yes.
Uh, as far as new figures go, I'm more interested in something like a Frogmonger. Uh, those types of ideas of a brand new character that we've never seen before interests me as well. Uh, I want that to be more available, not just be sitting up there on creation so that it's a crapshoot whether you can even get it or not.
What about a fully realized Orlax figure?
Mm.
Like a full-on Orlax, like the real deal, not
I,
dissimilar from how they showed him in Revelations, because that was a
I'm
pretty cool
more
realization of it.
interested in what was it, Volcrum from Reign of the Monster episode. He was like a horse with horns, and it had like tentacle whips, and that was the coolest monster to
Well,
me.
is there not a centaur character that was in Masters of the Universe, possibly film? I don't know where I'm getting this from, but was there not a centaur character that was a combination man horse?
I know they featured one in the box art. I'm not sure what the name of that character was, but as a kid, when I saw that Volcrum monster, man, that's like scared me. Or even like from the House of Shakoti episode, like the with Mask and Shakoti and those little weird tentacle things that floated around. Like that kind of stuff I thought was cool. And I'd like to see some stuff like that. But I think mostly just because as a kid it scared me.
And
Which
then there's other things that are very, well, I'm going to go deep here, very esoterical that I possibly will never see out of Mattel itself, but there are other places that might pick up the ball on that. I'm looking straight at you, Mr. CEO, below me.
Here it is.
the pitch.
Man at Arms Battle Chariot. Who
Yeah.
the hell would not go fucking nuts over Man at Arms Battle Chariot? It was
All
only
right,
seen once,
I'm
and
about
that
to
was
prove
in
something to you
He-Man's
right now.
Housework.
I'm gonna
Go
prove
ahead,
something
Jim.
right now.
I talked over you. Sorry.
No, I talked over you too, though. But I want to just be real clear. Where is the folder at? Aha, here it is. And let me get this.
Share him up big, Bill. Let's see what he's got here.
Oh yeah. You're
No. It's going to be screen sized.
Okay.
Let me screen.
Screen share.
Yeah.
Yes, and I was going to get to those as
Oh.
well. The sea monster, the red sea monster, and the blue creature that attacked the green sorceress.
There you go.
Mm-hmm. Classic.
Yep. And Battle Chariot, I have that on a list of things. And the bottom line here is that I'm going to give Mattel a chance with that stuff
Yeah,
when it comes to the
of course,
most.
they need their chance, but we know that all things are possible, but not necessarily going to happen. But just stay tuned. You never know what might happen over at Revelation. Resurrection Toys, and Resurrection Toys is I'm sitting here counting the brand right now on my head. It is a wonderful place, and you never know what's going to be released. Now we're getting towards the end of the show. I'm going to give everybody a chance to give their final thoughts, but before I do that, Jim, can you give us any update on that Kraken?
The artwork got released yesterday. The sculpt is almost finished. We just put out a contest on social media on Instagram and Twitter for folks to put in their ideas for the cross sell and the side art to fill out the rest of the box. We're shipping out Wave 4 this week. Wave 5 is going to go right in there. We're going to do our absolute best to try and get stuff to people by Christmas, but we can't guarantee anything. But as far as the Kraken goes, it's coming. It's definitely, we're getting there. And between all the support we've gotten, it'll be soon. I just can't say exact dates yet because we're still just shy on the sculpt, from my understanding. Just shy.
Okay. So we're rapidly approaching the 2 hour mark, and I told myself that 2 hours was going to be it for today's hangout. It's final thoughts time. I'll start with you, Grindhead Jim. What are your final thoughts about the future of the Motu Origins line?
I think people will keep buying it. They're going to keep putting out more stuff. The Snake Men wave that they're doing was something I never thought we'd see. And I said, well, if they're willing to do that, sky's the limit. And the artwork on the back keeps hinting more and more cool stuff. I trust Mattel to put out this stuff. And as long as they're smart about what goes to retail versus what doesn't, I'm going to be perfectly fine. And I hope that we see Origins style figures for a really long time. I hope they go really nuts with it. And I think it'll continue to sell.
All right. And Largo?
Well, I'm going to make my prediction that the future of the line is going to be crossovers. Like we've talked about here, there's a lot of potential. There's a lot of things Mattel has in their toolkit that they haven't even brought out of mothballs yet. They've already got great bucks, and the tooling is already there to make figures from other lines and bring them into this universe. Even in the lore, they've given an out to bring in things from other storylines and make it work. So that, I think, is what's going to keep the line fresh and alive, is bringing in characters from other IPs that fit, fit with Origins.
Okay. And Joneser?
Honestly, I think I agree with all your guys' points. I think the future of the line is going to be completed. I think we're going to see characters, especially core characters like Cyclone and Mossman. And, I'm hoping we get to like Rockmen and Extendar. But, if we get Snake Men, I'm thinking we'll get them too. I'd also like to see more vehicles, and play sets. And for it to be at retail and to be able to actually find it at retail. I mean, thank God for places like Entertainment Earth or Big Bad Toy Store, because if you couldn't pre-order stuff, if I was stuck just looking at Walmart and Target, I'd be a pretty sad boy here, And so I do think, unfortunately, the future of it's going to be more and more Mattel Creations. I hate to say that, but I do think that's where it's all headed. And I think they see what Hasbro's doing, and they're thinking, hey, this is where this is all headed. Nobody goes to the store and buys these anymore like they used to. And now we can get direct to the customer, which they're not, but they think they are, And I think, unfortunately, it's all headed online. I hate to say that, but I think retail is a slowly dying breed.
I think you have a point there, Joneser, and my final thoughts on that are exactly what you said. I think that towards the end of the line, I'm talking about the last year that it's going to be out there, and you said 2025 there, Grindhead Jim, that we're going to see Mattel, not necessarily Mattel Creations, but a Mattel storefront, online storefront selling Origins almost exclusively, because the line has no longer got planograms in the big box stores anymore. And
if they do that and they do the made to order model, I think that's the closest thing to everyone winning this out there, because they're going to get the sales, because people are still going to snatch them up. I'd be okay with. I wouldn't be happy, but I'd be okay with it as long as there was that safety net of, if I want one, I can get one, and I have a week to get them or whatever.
Well, like I said, it's fine to do some weird stuff over there at Mattel Creations, but if you're going to move the toy line over to online sales, it needs to be an online storefront where, like an Entertainment Earth storefront, where you come in and you can pre-order this stuff, or when it becomes available, or even if the pre-orders don't sell out, you can just go in and order it and stick it in your cart, and then they ship it to you, not going through all that junk over there at the creation site, or whatever. And the other thing I'm gonna talk about real quick before we go is, I had started on this at the beginning, before the round table started with all of us in the chat. The figures that are that I know are going to come, but haven't yet been announced or anything, like Too Bad, for instance. What do you think about? We have deluxe figures, but what about Too Bad as a super deluxe figure, where you have the ability to make him have one body type or the other body type, or then combine and make the Too Bad figure? So the original two figures could be made, and you
That
could
would
also
be the ultimate. That would
Yeah,
be the
I'd be in on
ultimate.
that.
That's what Masterverse was looking at doing and didn't do, because you could see it in their design, but it just, they didn't quite get it there. And I don't know if Masterverse couldn't get it there. I don't know if Origins is going to pony up the tooling money to do it. But God, wouldn't that be great to get a, what were
Wouldn't
they,
it, though?
Tuvar, Badra, or whatever it was, and then they slapped them together, and now they're Too Bad.
Yeah, exactly. Oh, somebody just gave me some money. Salzburg donated some money. Thank you so much, Salzburg. And he says, "Howdy, gents. Doing Christmas with, so he's doing Christmas decorations with his family. Good deal. Thank you, Salzburg. Appreciate you giving out a little bit of tip there for me today." And of course, we've reached the end of the show. I want to thank all of my guests, Motu Joneser, Jim Largo, and Grindhead Jim, for showing up with me today. And of course, we've had a great show. If you're just now tuning in, sorry we got to go, but there's always the replay coming up later. And remember, everyone, together we shall triumph. And I will see everyone next time. Special thanks to these supporters on Patreon. Without your help, these adventures would not be possible. Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed today's adventure, please hit like and subscribe and share the video.